Did you make New Year's resolutions for this year, or are you just struggling to make it through all the things? Either way, I've got some great nuggets for you coming up.
I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this.
Welcome. It is a brand new year. How are you feeling about that? Before we get started, can I ask you a huge favor? Could you head over to iTunes and leave me 5 stars for the Stepmom Diaries podcast, or better yet, leave me a nice review. It will only take a few seconds, and it will help me reach more and more stepmoms with this podcast. So we are in a brand new year, and with that brings a lot of New Year's resolutions, right? I don't know if you do a word of the year or a goal or whatever, but I did a word of the year this year, and my word of the year is level up. And for me, I was thinking about kind of what I want out of every area in my life, and it really is to level up. I have continued to grow my business and to help more and more stepmoms and stepfamilies, which has been so incredibly meaningful. I can't even tell you, but I also want to level up my personal life. I've been working for the last few months on trying to get healthier. I realized last year, over the course of the year, I think that I had really been living in a state of kind of constant high stress, like all the time. And one of my providers, we did some testing. One of my providers told me that I have basically been living in like fight or flight because I try to balance so much and I try to do all the things and I kind of never stop. And, if I'm being honest with myself, that's something that Craig has been telling me for a while too, my husband. And so when I took a little bit of stock, when I actually slowed down over the holidays to kind of think about it, I realized that that's really true. I have been doing exactly that. I have been living in a little bit of a fight or flight mode where, I'm just sort of working around the clock and not taking time for myself and not taking time to slow down and enjoy things. And I had actually been doing exactly what I always talk to stepmoms about not doing, which is putting so much pressure on yourself that you become a pressure cooker. I was putting an enormous and unfair, really, amount of pressure on myself to do all the things. And then when I couldn't do all the things because there's no way, I was really hard on myself. So this year I'm leveling up. Now you may be saying to yourself, okay, Cameron, that all sounds good, but level up does not sound like you're taking it easy. That sounds like you're doing more. And I get it. But what I mean when I say that is really taking my life to a higher level. And that doesn't just mean leveling up work and building my business and doing all of that. It means I want to build on the healthy journey that I started last year. I want to continue to work on improving myself. That looks like a lot of different things, right? That's like eating better and cleaner. And yes, allowing room for treats, because if we're being honest, I can't give up ice cream. But it's also trying to live a little more simply, getting outside more, taking more time for me, really, allowing myself to not feel guilty about relaxing and about taking it slow. And putting the work down once in a while, enjoying whether it's, watching a great TV show with Craig or, going outside for a walk, whatever that looks like, but putting the work down. And I have to tell you, I started doing that a little bit over the holidays, and it was sublime. Craig and I took walks, and yes, We were in Maine over the holidays and it was very cold, I'm not going to lie, but it was invigorating and it was wonderful to be outside and not worry about, what time I had to come back in and get back to work and all that kind of stuff. I sat down and, as I was doing some of my business planning for the year, I made some personal plans too. I, decided that I was going to start some new evening rituals like putting down my screens and reading before bed. I'm terrible about always having my phone out, even when I'm not on my computer. Having my phone out, checking email, getting back to people. And this year, I'm going to make every effort to put that down and pick up a book instead. Over the holidays, we cooked fresh food, which was really great. It was so nice to, you know, refresh a little bit on how we were eating. And even when it didn't turn out, it was great. And when I say it didn't turn out, I feel like I have to tell you about the meal that I made for me and Craig for Christmas. I had to force myself to laugh at this after the fact, but I decided I was going to make beef bourguignon. And Craig and I were spending our Christmas in Maine. We didn't have the kids. It was going to be a really quiet Christmas. So I thought, well, it'd be nice, let's just have a nice dinner, the two of us, and I'll make something, really special. And I am a pretty good cook. I know how to follow a recipe. Most of the time when I try new things, they turn out pretty well. But the beef bourguignon totally foiled me, I have to tell you. I am going to blame the cooking implements. I did not have a Dutch oven that was big enough to go from the stove to the oven. And so I decided to use a slow cooker instead. And I'm sure that for those of you that cook a lot, you're listening to me going, oh yeah, of course that didn't turn out right. But that's not where my head is. I'm a good cook, but I don't always make the right decisions or know exactly what I'm doing in the kitchen. And this was one of those occasions. It was terrible. I mean, it was Christmas night and we sat down to eat, and I had worked for a couple of hours on this meal, and both of us just grimaced when we put the food in our mouths. And, I've had to force myself to laugh it off. I wanted to cry, but I forced myself to laugh it off and to acknowledge that, despite the fact that I do think that I am a pretty decent cook, not every meal is a home run. And when I thought about it after the fact, I thought, that's kind of a great analogy for the year, right? My goal is to level up. I'm not always going to succeed though. But part of my journey is to acknowledge that and to maybe not beat myself up when I stumble and maybe go a little bit easier on myself. So what about you? Do you have a word of the year or goals or resolutions? And I want to tell you, it's okay if you don't, right? Because let's face it, sometimes as a stepmom, our biggest goal, our biggest, reach for the year is just to make it through every day. And I was talking to some stepmoms in a coaching session recently that we were doing in the Step Family Circle, which if you're not a member, I will let you know the next time we open up our membership, because it is such a wonderful group of supportive women, and we do regular coaching, and it's awesome. But we were talking about resolutions and about how different the journey is for step families from first families, and the fact that it looks it's almost opposite, right? So when you're in a first family, you get engaged and you get married, or, you decide to settle down as a partnered couple, and you get a little bit of a honeymoon period, whether you go on an actual honeymoon or, just are spending time together. Before you have kids, you really get to bond as a married or partnered couple, right? As a step family, not so much. You are literally jumping into the deep end. You are dealing with kids, schedules, schools, the ex. You are dealing with all of the things right from the start. And sometimes before the start. I mean, I know when Craig and I went on our honeymoon, we were getting emails and calls, on our vacation across the world about the stuff that was going on with the kids. There was not a break. We were literally jumping right into it. And that can feel really hard. That can feel really hard for stepmoms that, you don't get that period of calm. And it can be hard for your partner too. They might kind of resent that. They might remember from their first family that they had this honeymoon period and think, why am I not getting that this time around? And you might resent that. You want to be excited and engaged and newlywed, and newlywed life just looks really different in a stepfamily. But here's the thing. Remember I said that stepfamily life is a little bit opposite of first family life. First family life, you get to start out bonding and by yourselves, but then you start having kids and things get complicated and hard and all the things. Stepfamily life does get a little bit easier as you go. The hard part is really, really front-loaded. If you're in that messy front part, I don't want to minimize what you're going through because it is really hard. Or even if you're in the messy middle part of it, things can be hard and you can struggle to put one foot in front of the other. But I want you to know you are not alone and it will get better. Just stick it out. It will get better. So, all of that is to say, if you don't have a word of the year or a New Year's resolution or a goal for this year, that's A-okay. Girl, you don't need to. You just put one foot in front of the other and keep going. But I will say, I will ask you to set one goal for yourself this year. Even if you really are just trying to get through the year unscathed, I want you to think about what that means to you, getting through unscathed. Does that mean that you are preserving your sanity when you're dealing with kids who have been brainwashed to dislike you? Does that mean that you are really just trying to stay on top of crazy schedules or a big move? Whatever that looks like for you, I want you to think about what you want to do this year and what it means to you, whatever that is. And I really would ask you, one of your goals, could you set the goal to take care of yourself, to put your needs first, or even second, to make sure that you don't put yourself on the back burner like so many stepmoms do? It's so easy for us to do that because, we're trying to take care of our spouse and the kids. And, maybe you're taking care of your own kids too, or, parents, or whatever it is. There are so many demands that are put on stepmoms. So I really would ask you to just commit to yourself for this year, to take yourself off that back burner and make your needs a priority. It's a little bit like the whole self-care thing, right? I don't mean put yourself on the front burner to go take a bath and then jump right into the crazy. That's not going to fix things. Although I'm sure a bath is nice. I'm sure going and getting a pedicure is nice. It's one of my favorite things to do. But that's not getting at the self-care that's sort of underneath it. I really want you to dig a little deep. And I also want you to remember that as you're setting these goals, you are going to stumble. You're not going to be successful every hour of every day for the whole year. It's like when you are trying to get healthier, you're trying to eat well, you're going to have times that you want that ice cream. And you have to choose. You have to make a conscious decision to have the ice cream or to not have the ice cream. Know it's going to set you back a little bit, but that it's okay. It is not the end of the world. So I want you to remember, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have stumbles. Things aren't going to go your way the whole year, even if you're setting this great intention. But go a little bit easy on yourself. Cut yourself some slack. You've got this. I mean, you are so much stronger than you think you are, and you need to remember that. We've talked here on the podcast a number of times about ways to set good boundaries, ways to preserve time for yourself. And I would encourage you, if you need just a few minutes of sanity every day, go back and listen to some of these episodes. I actually did sit down at the end of the year and looked at the stats for this year for the podcast episodes. And I did come up with the top 5 most popular episodes from this year. And I went back and listened to them, and they're really good, if I do say so myself. But 2 of my episodes interviewing Dr. Patricia Papernow, who's one of the top experts in blended family life, 2 of those made the list, and she just has wonderful advice for stepmoms. And my episode with Dr. Erin Careless also made the list, and she is an expert in boundary setting and learning when to take a step back. So I would encourage you that if you need that extra little push, if you're feeling a little bit hopeless or just blah, pull up the Stepmom Diaries and go back and listen to some of those episodes. I'll put links to all 5 of the most popular episodes in the show notes for this episode. And I would encourage you just to go back, and that'll maybe help give you a little bit of extra motivation as you get into this year. But I know for my part, I'm really excited about what the year is going to bring. I've got big plans for you, stepmom, big plans this year with both the Blended Family Formula course, which is going to reopen very soon, and with what we're doing at Step Family Magazine and the Step Family Circle membership. It's going to be an amazing year. I'm so glad you're here for the ride. I'm so glad you're coming along with us. I know how hard stepmom life is, and I am here for you as a resource. You can find me at thiscustomlife.com. You can also find me on social media. I hang out on Instagram and Facebook a lot. So stay in touch. We've got a ton in store for you this year, and I will see you next time.
That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, head on over to thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Until next time, you keep being you and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.